This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. This is Monday, April 15th, my beautiful little sister's birthday. So, Cheney, I hope you have a great day. I hope you've had a great day. You're not going to get this message because I'm sure you're not listening to my show, but if you did, I hope you had a great day. It's a great day in Lubbock, Texas. It's beautiful out there. I think it got a little windy this afternoon, but I missed it all. That's one of the cool things about working inside is you miss it all. And all you hard-working folks out there that are out there in the middle of it, I hope it was all right for you. Hope you had a great day. Hope you had a good weekend. We just about wore ourselves out this weekend working in the flower bed. And that is not my gift. And I try to avoid that at all costs if I can. But I was just really needing to be a good husband this weekend and needing to get out there and work in the flower bed. And that's what we did. And I've had a hard time bending over and touching my toes today. It's conditioning, man. I tell you what, when you see patients all day long and you adjust over that table and do your CrossFit workouts, you feel pretty good about yourself. But, man, just spend one day in your flower bed, as you all know, I was having to use all the tricks I knew to keep from hurting myself, which kind of reminds me, we should talk about that. That'd be a good we'll take a couple minutes to talk about that. If you're out there in your flower beds and you're working, let me tell you what my experience has been, is that you get hurt late in the day or late in the weekend. A lot of people hurt their backs when it's late in the day and they're fatigued. And if you get fatigued, then those muscle cells, they don't have enough power to hold you properly. Your brain cells don't have enough power to keep you held up properly. And that's when things tend to slip. And when your brain gets tired, you get exhausted, you get dehydrated because you've been out there working, you've been in these weird positions, and then you got that one root you got to pull up. Or you have that one big heavy bag of trash you got to get to the dumpster or whatever it might be. Just one of the things that you might be aware of is that, hey, look, if I've been doing this all day long, like I really need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I need to make sure, hey, I don't be careful. Take an extra step. Slow down just a little bit. Ease up. I had to leave a few trash cans next to the flower bed. A few trash bags because they were so heavy. I was like, nope, I'm just going to have to pick those up later. And because there was a lot of cleaning up that we had to do, pull up a bunch of diseased rose bushes, take care of a bunch of stuff. And man, last night my hands were aching, my wrists were aching, my forearms were aching. I was like, I told one of my yard guys today, I said, man, this chiropractic stuff will make you soft. It'll turn a man soft, not doing manual labor. Because I'm really not. I've turned my flower bed over here at the office to Kayla at the White Lily, and she does a fantastic job. She keeps it in good shape, and it looks really good. So Kayla does a great job. If we didn't have time to get her at the house, or I'd have had her take care of the flower bed at the house. So anyway, that's what I did this weekend. I was a good husband and took care of the flower beds. And but man, I've been sore and tired all day today. But it's been a great day at the Rock. We've had some great, really, really good stuff happen. I got to share this one little piece with you. I got bragged on by one of my. She's 76 years old, and she came to see me because her husband came to see me, and she really wasn't gonna. She didn't really know that she would benefit from what we had to offer here in the office, and she was hoping that her husband would benefit from it. Well, I talked to her about it, and I said, "Look, you both can benefit from it." And we got her started, and she was a little hesitant at the beginning, but we got her started, and she is just doing great. And there's a couple things that we did. One of the things, she is having foot problems, and so we got her in a pair of our orthotics that we have that we our foot levelers. We built her. We scanned the bottom of her feet. We built her a custom pair of orthotics, and she has worn those orthotics for maybe a little over a month, I think. Um, she's been with us for longer, but she didn't really mention her feet to me that I remember until about that time, maybe a little bit before that. And I said, hey, we could do some AMIT on your feet. We could work on your feet. We can adjust your feet. And we can also get you into some orthotics. And so we did. We got her into some orthotics, and she came in today and she said, there's a couple things I just need to tell you. She's like, I just can't thank you enough for getting me that pair of orthotics. She said, I always wear shoes. No matter what I do, I wear shoes, and usually tennis shoes. And the only thing is I take them off when I go to bed at night, and then the rest of the day I'm wearing tennis shoes. And she said, in the past, I would get up in the middle of the night to have to go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen to get a drink or something like that, and I'd have to walk on our floor, and it really hurt my feet. And she said, ever since we started with these orthotics, after a couple of weeks of wearing the orthotics, she can get up in the middle of the night now, and she has no foot pain whatsoever. And she said, it doesn't hurt me at all. She said, I don't know if my feet have remolded themselves to be like they're supposed to be, but I can get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen, and I have no pain in my feet at all. And I wanted to thank you for that. And I was like, well, that's awesome. And then she said, and the other thing I wanted to thank you for was the eye exercises that you've been having me do. And she said, I stopped by her. She said, I stopped by my husband. I'm not going to talk about names, but she stopped by her husband's chair. She was walking past, and he said, here, I want you to read this. And he put something up for her to read, and she didn't have her glasses on. And she looked down and she read it, and she was like, she just read it perfectly fine. And then she realized, she's like, I don't have my glasses on. And she was asking me if I thought that her vision could get better by doing some of those eye exercises. And I said, well, of course, yes, your eyes can get better. Because one of the problems that we have is convergence. I don't know if you guys, I think we talked about this, but a couple weeks ago, if you bring the pen, if you're looking at a pen and you bring that pen right towards your eyeballs, right above the bridge of your nose, your eyes have to like converge down on that pen. Well, her left eye was converging fine, but her right eye wasn't converging. And so we had her do some exercises where we take the pen out to her right side and we make her look at it. So now her left eye is already converged in. And then now we bring the pen right at her left eye. And then as soon as we get close, now we take it right straight out. So what we're basically doing is we're making this right eye, because if you take the pen and move it out to your right side and keep your head straight, but you look over at the pen, then this left eye is already converged and the right eye is looking out to the right side, looking at the pen. And as you bring the pen across, your right eye has to follow it, and it gives that right eye some momentum to come on down and converge. And then once it's converged, now you work it out slowly, out away from you. And it's just practice to get that eye to come down, because sometimes it just gets a little lazy, and sometimes it gets where the brain has lost its ability to fire that, and it just is like doing exercises. It's like doing some exercises for your eye that makes your eye function better. And obviously, if you get your eyes to converge better, then you'll be able to see. You won't get that blurriness, and you'll be able to read better. So she said thank you, and that was really sweet of her to do that, to say thanks. And she said, I just want you to know that you're my number one doctor. And she's 76 years old, and her wellness chiropractor is her number one doctor. And I said, well, that's good, because if your number one doctor is your wellness chiropractor, you're probably going to be healthier than the majority of people. And so obviously, if she had something that was outside our scope, we'd send her to take care of that. But there's a lot of things that people just don't know that are inside our scope. It's part of why we do this show. You just don't know that there's things that we can help with, that we can work on. And I was thinking at the one point during the day today, I had a vertigo guy come in, and don't see him except for when his vertigo flares up. And it's been several months since I've seen him last time, and he's got that one thing that he needs. And I was just thinking when I was working on him, what a cool job it is to have a job to where you got so many things that are happening in a day, and so many different things. Like had a little three, one, two, three, four little league baseball players today got adjusted. They got to be like first grade through fourth grade, maybe, with the four of those little guys. And then I got this guy with the vertigo, and then I've got the 76-year-old lady that comes in. She comes in, she gets adjusted, and she goes back on the Alter-G, and she walks twice a week on the Alter-G, and she is just doing great. She looks great. She's thinned down. Her body looks good. She's feeling good. She's able to do the things that she wants to do. It's just really cool to get to see all those different things. So, of course, this show is brought to you by me, and of course, this show is an advertisement for what we do, because my mission is to try to make our town a better place, try to make our world a better place. So, yes, I do want to. But I also want to share these stories with you because I don't know if you know all the things that chiropractic can help with. You may not know them. And so I think if we just share a lot of these stories, I think it is helpful. Yeah, so that was a longer introduction than normal, but hey, it's Monday. It's beautiful. It's April. We might as well just it's our show. We can do with it what we want to, right? Okay, the supplement of the day. I'm starting to get a bunch of you guys that are really dealing with a lot of allergies. And I don't know if I mentioned it. I don't have it on my list that I've mentioned this before, but I get some feedback. I got this because I had a lot of people that were, Doc, what do you got for allergies? You got anything that will help us with allergies? And I was up in Ruidoso, and Dr. Fraley had some of this in his office, and we visited about it. And he said he's had some good experience with it. And I may have mentioned it, I may have not mentioned it, but I thought I'm just going to do it again tonight just in case I didn't. It's called D-Hist. It's called Natural D-Hist. It's from Orthomolecular Products. It's 300 milligrams of vitamin C, and then some quercetin dehydrate, stinging nettle leaves, bromelain, and N-acetylcysteine. And that's all those things. Bromelain is what you get from pineapples. N-acetylcysteine is a precursor to glutathione. I'm not exactly sure what the stinging nettle is all about, but we've got it for you if you're dealing with allergies. And I'll just read. Natural D-Hist is a targeted blend of flavonoids, antioxidants, proteolytic enzymes, and botanicals designed to provide comprehensive support for seasonal challenges caused by common environmental allergens. The formula includes quercetin, bromelain, stinging nettle leaf, and N-acetylcysteine, as I said. The powerful combination actively promotes healthy nasal and sinus passages for individuals with elevated histamine and respiratory irritation. So the loading dose is 2 capsules 3 times per day for 7 to 10 days. And then the maintenance is 2 or more capsules per day as recommended. And so just in case if you deal with allergies, you're trying to figure out something natural, I can just tell you that where I got the idea was visiting my friend in Ruidoso, and where the patients that get it buy another bottle. They like it. It's helping them, and it also comes in a junior formula. Pretty much the same exact thing, just in some smaller doses. So these are chewable tablets. They call them Springboard Supplements for Growing Bodies Junior, D-Hist Junior, seasonal support for kids. So if your allergies are flared up, if your kids' allergies are flared up, this is something right here. D-Hist is what it's called that you might be interested in doing. Allergies, a lot of things, a lot of those can be controlled by our diet. So if you're eating a lot of processed foods, you're going to have, it's going to have problems. Your immune system's going to have problems. So, just a heads up on that. The cleaner you eat, the better off you're going to be. And then the other thing is your dairy. Be careful with your dairy because that it's just something that we don't really think about, but you're going to have some sort of allergic response if you're drinking milk. Just try it. Take your kids. If your kids are, man, I just need to go get my kids allergy tested. Just take them off dairy for a week or two and see how they respond. And so many times, that's what we have with ear infections in little kids. We get them on, we get them adjusted and we get them to get off of dairy and their ear infections go away. It's like almost 100% since I've been in chiropractic. So just a little piece of information there for you in case you wanted it. So let's get to, tonight is our Taking Health to Church night. And it's a pretty good message. Go figure, right? It's a pretty good message. Came from the Bible and Jesus said it. So I would think that you would think that it would be a pretty good message. But it's about loss and about finding the loss. And as he was going through the message, I really thought, man, this is a really good Take Health to Church message. If we can apply this to our health, and when we've lost our health, and how we can rejoice when we get our health back. And so it's in Luke. It's Luke chapter 15. And for you guys, those of you who don't know, Taking Health to Church for me is we take our Sunday sermon at Hillside Christian Church and we apply it to our life on Monday. That's what we're trying to do with Taking Health to Church. And so what they're in is they're in a series about stories that Jesus told. And we were he was talking about loss and losing something. And he said I read an article about that said we actually spend 2.5 days a year. Let me say it again. We spend 2.5 days a year looking for things that we've lost. I don't know where he got this data, but that's what the preacher said yesterday. We spend 2.5 days a year looking for things that we have lost. Like we lose our keys, and we lose our phone, and we lose the remote control, and whatever the things. We can't find that one pen we're looking for, or where did I put my shoes? And some of those things aren't like lost, but we just don't know where they are, right? So. And one of the sentences he said, the more important it is, the more committed we are to the search. And I thought that was a really good statement right there. The more important it is, the more committed we are to the search. And that's really true. And Jesus is going to show us 3 different ways that that's true in Luke 15. And it starts with Luke 15:1, and it'll go all the way through, I don't know, through 17 or 18 or even to 32, I think. It goes on through there. And we're going to cover all that. But, when it comes to health, I had a conversation with one of my guys today about some possible prostate cancer. And I've got another patient that's got breast cancer. And there's some things that you would do if you lost your health. And when you lose your health, unless you want to die, it's going to be the greatest search that you've ever had. It's going to be one of the greatest searches that you ever had. Maybe if you lost your child, maybe that might you might be able to match it if you lost your child, but losing your health, if you lose your health, you're going to search and you're going to be committed to the search, because the alternative to losing your health is death. So let's get into the chapter, and then I'm just going to read in a couple of different things, and we'll just kind of break it down as we go along. But it starts in chapter 15. And it says, now the tax collectors and sinners, quote, sinners. This is Luke chapter 15, verse 1. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear him. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Yeah, you can kind of see how this is going already, right? Then Jesus told this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Then he calls to his friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep. I tell you that in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not repent. And the pastor's point of that was, he's like, you're out there in the field and you've got 100 sheep and you lose one of them. And what do? Do you just stand there and say, well, hey, I still got 99. We'll just count this one. It's a write-off. And that's what he said yesterday. Is like, this is just a write-off. It's not any big deal, right? That's not usually what we do. We don't want to do that. We don't want to go and we want to try to find that one sheep, even though we have to leave the 99 to get there. And the point that I started thinking about that, it was like, look, just that how many of us lose our health along the way? How many of us lose the health? We lose the health of one person. We lose the health of our children. We lose the health of our parents. We lose the health of our spouse. We lose the health somewhere along the way. And what are we willing to do to try to help bring that back? And what if it's our own health that we've lost? Will we rejoice when it's gained? When we gain that back, will we rejoice? And the answer is, I don't think we rejoice as much as what we realize. Like, I don't think we necessarily, I think we're so shallow sometimes on the value of our health that we don't really take into consideration how important it is and what a victory it is when we get it back. Because we'll just say, oh, well, I'm not in pain anymore, so I'll just move on down the road. And it's like, really? Like, I think we can do better. So let's keep going. And he says, after he tells that story, he says, okay, or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Now, I don't know back in the day, but 10 silver coins probably was a lot of money, right? It might have been a whole day's wages. I don't know for sure. But suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Does she not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me. I have found my lost coin. In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Right? He's just using this same thing. And that passage kind of hit me because it was like, I tell you, there's a rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. We were talking about innate intelligence today. And innate intelligence to me is the Spirit of God inside our bodies. There's a universal intelligence which gives to all matter its properties, thus maintaining it in existence. That is the first day of chiropractic school. That's the major premise of chiropractic. That's the foundational premise of the whole thing, is that there is a God in the universe, and that God in the universe is what holds all of this stuff together. Whatever this little piece of plastic is made out of is different than what is put together in a way that this paper is different, which is different than this metal is different. And that universal intelligence holds those carbon and nitrogen and oxygen pieces all together, and it holds it together. If you broke it all down, it's all the same pieces, but the way that it's bonded, the way that it fits together, the way that it attracts, and all that physics that goes along with the molecules and the whole thing, it's all held together by an intelligence. If there was no intelligence in the universe, there would be no paper in the universe. There would be no metal. There would be no plastic. That intelligence holds the whole thing together. And that intelligence loans a little bit of itself to us. It loans a little bit to us, and it gives us the intelligence inside our body to run our bodies. And that's called innate intelligence. And when we get back from the break, I want to keep on going with this, because I think it's going to get good in this second half. So you guys stick around with us. We'll be right back right after these messages. Yeah, I'm going to keep that for the rest of the group. And but I think it's kind of cool, really. I mean, we'll pick up when we get back on the radio. We got to take just a little break here for a second. But I think it's cool from a chiropractic perspective that's the first thing we learned on the first day. Like we literally learned there's a universal intelligence which gives to all matter its properties, thus maintaining it in existence. And that a piece of that universal intelligence inside our bodies is what we call innate intelligence. And that innate intelligence is what runs these cells. And what we were talking about today, when we were talking about innate intelligence, is the lady told me, she's like, I've just been craving apples. And she's 78 years old. And she said, for some reason, I've just been craving apples. What do you think about that? Because we were talking about on our on our nutrition plan that we want to eat more berries than fruit. I'm not anti-fruit. We're just trying to control insulin. So we're trying to control blood sugar. And so we're trying to keep our insulin levels down. So we want to eat more berries than fruit. And she said, well, but I've been craving these apples. And what I said was, to me, if you're craving an apple, then it's probably because your body is wanting something that's inside that apple. There's your innate intelligence is craving that apple. But if you're craving a Snickers bar, I don't think that's your innate intelligence. I think that's some interference in some brain waves that's going on in your brain. If a chocolate bar is where you're going, and don't get me wrong, I love Snickers bars, but I don't think innate intelligence is going to lead you into a direction of something that's fake and manufactured and processed. Hang on, let's get us back on the show. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, and we're taking health to church tonight, and we were talking about innate intelligence. And that innate intelligence is that piece of the Spirit of God that runs our body. Because if I'm sitting here right here in front of you tonight, and I have an aneurysm and die right here on this stool, then I will still weigh exactly the same. I will still have all the same blood. I will still have all the same bones. I will still have 2 eyeballs. All that will still be here. But all of a sudden, my spirit will be gone. And my spirit is what runs my cells. And in chiropractic, that spirit is 100% perfect 100% of the time. That is the fundamental thing that I work on every single day. You're not broken. You have a spirit inside yourself that is just trying as hard as it can to express health. It will adapt and adapt and adapt, and it will express health if you will give it a chance. If you will just give it a chance, it will adapt and it will express health. And right here, when he's talking about the lady that finds the coin, and he says, and when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. I think there's rejoicing in amongst the angels of God when one person finds their health, when one person makes the choice to clean up their diet, to get their exercise, to start to get their subluxations corrected, to work on their brain, to work on their posture. I think that there's rejoicing there. There has to be at least a smile amongst the angels that's like, yes, they came back. They came back to the way that they were made to function. They came back to the way they got lost in the muck and the mire. They got blown here and there by every wind of change and cunning and craftiness of men. Right? They got pulled away from the true selves, and they got trapped in this world of processed foods and no movement and all that stuff. And now they come back to health. And I just think, that's not scripturally based. I'm not reading it from a scripture. I'm just trying to take the teachings of the scripture and say, I think there's a rejoicing when we get our health back. Because now what you're able to do is maximized, and your spirit is what's running the whole thing. And so let's keep going, because it gets better as we go. So Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Now, not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need." And that's kind of what we do. To me, that's kind of what we do we take our inheritance, we take our gift, we take what the Father has for us, and we squander it. We lose our way somewhere along the way. And then when the heat is on, now all of a sudden, when we had the resources, and I've done this in my lifetime. I actually did this when I went to chiropractic school, and I went and had resources. I had the resources to go to chiropractic school, but instead I tried to take it upon myself to earn my way through chiropractic school, and I opened up an office on the 21st floor of Bryan Tower in downtown Dallas. It's called Optimal Health Chiropractic. Opened it up in probably about August. By the time I got it open, maybe June or July, August. Yeah, probably about August of 2001. And I was starting chiropractic school in 2002. And before December of 2001, I crashed and burned that office. I used up my resources. I put myself in a bind. I messed up a relationship in that place. I was right in the middle. It was in downtown Dallas. I had 10,000 people within 1 square block of where my office was, and I couldn't get the people into the office. I to this day, I get competitive when I think about that. I'd so like to have another office in downtown Dallas. I might just have to go make that happen at some point, because I'd like to try that again 20 years later, 20-something years later, 3, I guess, and because I think I could do it better this time than I did it the first time. No, I'm not leaving Lubbock. I'm just saying we can have more than one office. But so I've been in those situations personally when I was, and I may still be in those situations. I take my resources, I squander them, I get myself in a bind, and then what am I supposed to do when things turn on me, right? So this is where this guy was at. There was a famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. Now, this was explained during the service yesterday that this was a Jewish man, and I don't know where it said that, but um, that's the way it was. But to feed pigs was a bad thing because now you got to feed an unclean animal. That's what the pastor said yesterday. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired men have food to spare? And here I'm starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men.'" So he got up and he went to his father. But the first sentence in that paragraph, this is Luke chapter 15, verse 17, when he came to his senses. And that was pointed out very beautifully yesterday. When he came to his senses, when he humbled himself and walked to his father, he just wanted to be treated like a servant. When the father sees him, we'll get into that in just a second about what he did, but we've talked about this multiple times. Health begins with the renewing of our mind. If we lose our mind, it's hard for us to get back. Our heart was hardened and we couldn't see. Our heart was hardened and we couldn't hear, right? When we lose ourself, when we lose our spirit, when we lose our connectedness to our spirit, it's hard for us to get back sometimes. And it begins with the renewing of the mind. And how do you renew the mind? What is a hack? That's a new thing that we say today, right? That's what somebody said. Leslie was reading something the other night, and she said things we didn't say in the 80s, right? But that's a hack. How could you kickstart the renewing of your mind? Move your feet. You could move your feet. That would be a way to start renewing your mind, right? And so this old boy, he's the younger brother. He took all of his half of the inheritance. He ran off. He squandered the whole thing. Now he's in a mess. Now he's about to starve to death. And now he's feeding pigs and he can't even get anything that they're eating. And he thinks to himself, he's like, wait a minute. And it says right here, when he came to his senses. If we are nonsensical, if we're just running around with nonsense, we're just running around not paying any attention to the way that our body's working, nothing that we're doing. We're just out there in crazy land, and we come to our senses. Now we got a chance with the renewing of our mind. So he got up and he went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servant, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." So they began to celebrate. It's like the 76-year-old lady that says, "Thank you, doc, for helping me get a piece of my health back at 76." Like it's like a celebration. And I don't celebrate it enough, but it was like I smiled and said, "Thank you. I appreciate the feedback." And it's like when you get someone who has no hope. My new patient today was in tears when she found out there's actually hope. There's hope for us out there. There's a chance for us to get our life back. And what a celebration that would be. What a celebration that would be if we like all of a sudden we just gained our energy again. We got back something that we have lost. And how many of you, if there's anybody even listening to this show, I don't even know if anybody listens to it. I don't even know if anybody watches it. I know sometimes on YouTube you get no views. But it's like, okay, maybe I just got to get better at it, because I know if we can win one person back, if we could get one person, it's worth a celebration for. It's just one person that regains their health. Just one person that breaks the bondage of this processed food, no exercise, subluxation world. If we got one person like that, like, would it be worth it? Would it be worth it if it was just me and you? If there's only one person listening on the radio, because I don't know, you guys don't ever text me. When I say, hey, text me something at 806-794-0400, I don't get any text usually, right? If I say leave me a message on the deal, I don't do that. So this is probably a real intimate conversation with somebody. There's probably somebody listening. And it's worth the celebration to know that you really are that one lost coin. You really are that lost son who was dead and is alive. And you got a chance to be alive. And if you are alive, that's worth a celebration. That's worth a feast. That's worth like that's worth the party that goes along. So let's keep going, because there's one point around here that it's just gonna knock my socks off when he said it yesterday. So, for the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of his servants and asked him what was going on. Your brother has come, he replied, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. It was really funny, because when the sermon started yesterday and they were talking about the lost, I was wondering if they were going to get to this whole passage right here, because I was wondering what the older brother was going to think about this whole thing, and I was wondering how that applied to our health. I was like, how is it that applies to our health? And so the older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. Sometimes in health, when you're doing the right things, it can become boring. It's not that exciting. You just get up and you eat grass-fed meat, and you eat vegetables, and you eat berries instead of fruits, and you eat nuts from a tree, and you drink water, and you skip all of those power drinks, and you stay away from alcohol, and you get away from your pancakes and waffles and syrup, and give up the cupcakes and the cakes and the ice cream, and you know what I mean. It's kind of like, well, I'm just doing right. I'm just doing right every single day, and I'm in a world full of people that do wrong, and I don't understand what's for me. I can see that. I can see how that might sit on you that way, right? His father said, um, he said, look, all these years I've been slaving for you, and and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, right? He didn't say when my brother. He said when this son of yours, because he's wanting to separate himself, because it's now you get bitterness inside your own self, and it's like, yeah, it's like those people that get to go to eat ice cream. That's kind of jacked up. The son of yours, um, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him. My son, the father said, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours, see, he flipped it back around to him. He didn't say my son. He said this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. The picture that the pastor painted yesterday was super cool, and I hope I could do this right, because he could just see in Luke 15:32, he said he could just see the brothers standing outside. No, before that, he said when he was outside and he didn't know if he wanted to come in. He could see that him just like standing out there with his arms folded and saying, "Nobody asked me. Nobody asked me if we could kill the fattened calf. Nobody asked me if we should have a celebration. Nobody asked me about whether or not we should take my little brother back. Like, this is jacked up. Nobody asked me." And what was pointed out is in Luke 15:32, he says, "But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again." They didn't ask the older brother because this isn't his house. I was like, "Ooh, this is his father's house." Right? He didn't ask me because this isn't my house. And man, when that was pointed out to me, like when I heard that yesterday, I was like, whoa. Like, how many times have we had that attitude about, well, I think that's stupid. I had one farmer, or not, wasn't a farmer, one guy one time who told me, yeah, and I told you guys that, who told me that vegetables were for homosexuals. Like, I don't even know what that means, but I mean, that's the attitude that this guy had about how things work. How many times? No, man, I'm not doing that. Who said that that's the way it's supposed to be? Nobody asked me about that, whether that's the way it's supposed to be. Nobody asked me whether or not we should eat fruits and vegetables. Nobody asked me whether or not I ought to be getting any exercise. Y'all should come over here and ask me about that. And I just thought to myself, nobody asked you because this isn't your house. This earth is not your house. This is your Father's house. And your Father's the one that's in charge of the rules on this earth. And your Father made gravity. Right? It's his house. He set the rules to this thing. We didn't set the rules to this thing. We've just squandered the opportunities that we've had. We've just taken all of these resources that are here for us, and we've squandered them away. And now we're fussing because we think it's the way it's supposed to be. I just thought that was such a great teaching yesterday. I thought that was the way that he said that. Nobody asked me. If you would have asked me, I would have done it different. And I was like, nobody asked you. That's not the way it works. And there's just so many different opinions these days. There's so many different opinions on health. There's so many different opinions on whether or not we even should have health. There's so many different opinions on what kids. Like, I had a little gal today. She's pre-K or something age. I was in the other room adjusting, and I could hear her talking about how she had a donut and a popsicle for breakfast. She said, I had lots of sugar. And so I walked in the room, and then she tells me, I've got a fever. I'm not feeling good today. And I'm like, well, no wonder you're not feeling good today. You had a donut and a popsicle for breakfast. And I was like, and she's like, but I love sugar. And it's like, nobody asked you if you love sugar or you didn't love sugar. Nobody asked you if you were in charge of this. I mean, of course, she's 4 years old, whatever, right? But it's like, that's kind of the attitude that we take. We take the attitude that this is what I'm going to do. Like my mother-in-law told me, I am not giving up my bread. Okay. Like, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe if I hope that's coming across right, because this is not our house. This is our Father's house, and our Father made the rules, and our Father built physiology, and our Father built neurology, and our Father built our brain, and our Father built the way that our heart pumps, and the way that our bones grow. That's why last week I was talking about we're growing. You grew too fast, right? On Friday, you grew too fast, and it's like, what? How do you do that? How do you grow too fast, right? Your innate intelligence is doing that. There are rules by the way that your body works. And all those rules that were made by the creator of the universe. And there is a way. And I use this example today with my new patient, because I dug up all those flowers over the weekend, right? And the rose bushes that had the disease and the other thing, and I planted a bunch of boxwoods and some dwarf yapons. I learned some names this weekend too, and I did some planting and when you go to the shrub store, the place where you get boxwoods, right? And you take that plant, that shrub, and it comes in one of those little black plastic tubs. And if you take that black plastic tub and you smash it so you can get, just kind of break it up a little bit so you can get that boxwood out of there. And you take that boxwood and you set it right here on this countertop. And you leave it sitting here. What's going to happen to it? It's going to die, right? If you just leave it sitting right here, even if you watered it on top of this countertop, it ain't going to last very long, right? Because it's not in its environment to express its innate intelligence. It's in the wrong environment. Now, if you take that boxwood and you dig a hole in the ground and you plant that shrub in the ground and you cover it up and make sure that it's all in there properly, and you give it water, what will happen to that shrub? It will grow into a big, beautiful shrub. If you take care of it, it will grow. And how did it know how to grow? What told it how to grow? Nothing. Its innate intelligence just knows how to grow. And our cells are exactly the same way. If we put our cells in an environment that's congruent with health, our cells will express health. How do they know how to do that? Because that's what their innate intelligence just knows to do. That's the spirit of our cells. They just know how to do that. And in our Father's house, He built the rules to that. And if you put that cell in an environment that's incongruent with health, it will break down, and you will begin to have symptoms, and you will begin to have stiffness and inflammation and sores and all the things that go along with it, diabetes and cancers and all the things, because you have the body in an environment that's incongruent with health. And you can say to yourself, well, nobody asked me, but that's not going to really matter. Because when it comes down to it, what's going to really matter is whether or not you're following the laws of the universe, whether or not you're actually putting your cell in an environment that's congruent with health or not. I hope that was good. That's the end of our show. We've run out of time. I hope you got something out of that. Hope you guys have a great evening. Thanks for listening to the show. If one person gets saved, I will celebrate. So thanks. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 6. Y'all be careful.